Greetings. This is Renee Isuk with ProsperLink Tax Group, and you are tuned in to the 2 Minute Drill. I want to spend a few moments with you expanding on a conversation I had prior regarding the short-term rental activity loophole that's outlined in Internal Revenue Code Section 469. Now, in a prior discussion, we talked about how to qualify your short-term rental activity as a non-passive activity instead of a passive activity. And there are three requirements that you want to pay attention to. The first requirement is the 7-day average rental requirement, where your average stay in your property is 7 days or less. The next requirement that could qualify you would be the 30-day plus service requirement, where your average rental stay is 30 days or less, and you are providing significant services like concierge or almost like a hotel business. And then the last piece, or the last requirement in order to deem your short-term rental activity as a non-passive activity, is the material participation test that the IRS uses. Now, the discussion today is going to focus on the 7 tests that define material participation, and we'll only cover a few of those in this discussion. The first test that could potentially deem someone a material participant is the 500-hour test. And what that test defines is that if you are participating in your rental activity for 500 hours or more in that year, and you're doing all the ordinary work, the operations of it, not just an investor, you could be deemed a material participant. The second test I want to talk to you about is the substantially all test. And essentially what that is that all of the ordinary operations that are involved in your rental activity, you are the one that is handling substantially all of them. And if you can document that that is true, then you could potentially be a material participant. And then the last test that I want to speak about today is the 100-hour nobody does more than you test. And essentially it means just what I said. If you have an activity and you are participating in that activity more than 100 hours and no one in that activity has more work than you, and you are also doing all of the work yourself, you can be deemed a material participant. Now, documentation is key in these things, and so you want to make sure that you have the appropriate documentation to make sure that you are able to pass the material participation test. Now, we just talked about 3. There are 4 more that we'll discuss at a later date, but if you have questions or concerns about material participation, reach out to us at www.timetoprosper.net or send an email. We can set up an appointment and have a further conversation. But until next time, take care.